Today we're getting the F-15E Strike Eagle fired up and ready to go inside of DCS World. First I'll walk you through the startup step by step, and then I'll run you through the entire startup again without any instruction, myself just going through the flows. So by the end, you'll have it down. We're also covering the stored alignment for a quick start, and at the end, I'll show you how to do a full alignment for those that want to do it. Alright, let's get to it. Now that we're in the pit, let's go ahead and start it up. Set the microphone switch on. Turn on the anti-collision lights. Turn on the position lights to position 3. Turn the terrain following radar to standby. Radar altimeter on. Radar to standby. INS to store. Lantern to standby. And JTIDs to normal. Further up the left side, NCTR to on. Set conformal fuel tank control switch, stop transfer. Set left and right inlet ramp switches to the auto position. Set the yaw, roll, and pitch control augmentation system switches forward. Arm the ejection seat. Pull the canopy handle backwards. Oxygen on. Set the left and right generator switches on. Unguard the left and right engine master covers. Turn them on. Reguard the left and right engine master switch covers. Set the JFS enable switch forward. Turn the air conditioning to auto. Set the interior lights as desired. Press the number 2 button to go into the WSO seat. Turn on the microphone. Turn on the RWR to combat. Turn the pods to transmit. ICS to auto. Targeting pod to standby. Arm the laser. Arm the WSO ejection seat. Turn on the oxygen. ICS on. RWR on. EWWS on. Set your countermeasures as desired. Press 1 to go back into the front seat. Pull on the jet fuel starter handle. Pull up and release the finger lift on the right throttle. This will initiate the right engine cranking. Wait until the right engine RPM has stabilized to 26%. And then move the right throttle from the off to the idle detent. Observe the increase in RPM and temperature, as well as the fuel flow.
Low altitude, low altitude.
When the right engine stabilizes, repeat the same process for the left engine. Pull up on the left finger lift. Wait until 26%. Move the throttle from the off to the idle position. When the left engine stabilizes, we can move on with the rest of the startup. Close and lock the canopy. Turn on all 3 of your displays by hitting the associated on buttons. Uncage the standby attitude by right-clicking and scrolling with your mouse wheel. Now let's set up your displays. For the left display, I'm going to hit Program, AA Radar, and Air-to-Ground Radar. Deselect Program. Now anytime I hit Castle Switch left, it's going to change between my AA radar and my air-to-ground radar. Remember, you can have up to 3 stored programs per display. Now we'll switch over to the right display. I'll hit Program, the twos system, as well as Armament. Deselect Program, and anytime I hit Castle Switch right, it will go to the twos page, and if I do it again, it would go to the Armament page. Same thing on the bottom, I hit Program, HSI, and TSD. Deselect Program, and anytime I do Castle Switch aft, it will go to the HSI as well as the TSD. If you want to get rid of the joystick, you hit backspace. We're currently in air-to-air, let's go to nav mode by hitting the associated button. Now let's set up the UFC, we'll turn the volumes all the way up for left and right. We'll turn up the UFC brightness, and we'll also turn up the HUD brightness. Next we'll turn on both our radios by hitting the associated knobs on the left and right side. The radios are currently on the pre-selected radio channels. Let's hit GREC CM. And what this does is we can put in manual frequencies now. So I'm going to put in 251 and hit the associated OSB next to it, and you can see it change to 251. I'll hit the clear button so it gets rid of 243 in the scratch pad. Next we'll click on data and go over to the radar altimeter, turn that on with the associated OSB here. We'll click on menu and we'll set up the low altitude warning. You can click the associated button here to turn it on and off. Let's put in 69 feet here, and that's how you change the low altitude warning. If you wish to change the TACAN, you can do so by hitting the associated OSB. You can change between the modes here. You can click on TACAN to change between 16 X-ray and Yankee at the moment. We'll go back to the menu and we'll click on A4E4 to set up the auto IFF for the F-15. We'll select auto ID over to PDT. We'll click on EID and change it to auto ID PDT as well. When we're done with this page, we can hit the clear button to go ahead and clear the UFC. Now we'll look in the HUD and it says stored heading OK. Since the stored heading is OK, we'll move the INS knob to nav, and we'll go ahead and turn on the radar. Pitot heat on. Currently we have the park and brake on with the brake hold switch right here. Conform a fuel tank back to the normal position. Hold the takeoff trim button until she yells at you.
Yaw rate. Yaw rate.
With the green light and the yaw rate, you are good to go for trim. Turn on the taxi light. Put your flaps down. Remove the wheel chocks via the communication menu.
Chief, remove the wheel chocks. Copy. Wheel chocks are now removed.
Turn off the park and brake. You are now ready for taxi. Alright, we're in the F-15E Strike Eagle. Let's go ahead and start it up how I normally start it up. Come over to the left. Microphone on. Terrain following. Radar altimeter on. Radar standby. INS to store. Lantern to standby. JTID's normal. Anti-collision. Number 3 on the position. Arm the ejection seat. NCTR on. Conformal fuel tank stop transfer. Inlet ramps to auto. We'll turn on our yaw, roll, and pitch. We'll turn on the generators. Oxygen, engine master controls. JFS to on. Auto on the air conditioning. Set up our lights as we wish. Pitot heat on. Pull on the JFS. Takes about 10 seconds to spool up. While we're doing that, we'll jump in the back with number 2. Microphone on. RWR. ICS to auto. Starting pod, standby. Laser arm. Go ahead and arm the ejection seat. Oxygen on. ICS on. RWR on. EWWS on. Countermeasures as required. We'll jump back into the pilot seat. And we'll go to the right finger lift. Start cranking that bad boy. Looking for 26%. There it is. Go to idle on the right throttle. As that's spooling up, I'll hit on all the displays. I'll turn up the radios. Turn on the UFC brightness. HUD brightness. Attitude indicator. We'll get that going. Now we've got a good engine start on the right.
Low altitude.
Hold the left finger lift.
altitude.
Go ahead and close the canopy. Turn on the radios. Program left to AA and air to ground. Deselect that. Click on air-to-air radar. Program the right twos and armament. Deselect that. And there's 26%. Left engine going to idle. Get rid of the HOTAS with backspace. Program this one to HSI TSD. Got the HSI selected. Put back the stick with backspace, or you can click down here. Get rid of the master caution. Alright, that's a good start. Just waiting on the stored heading. Now it's stored heading okay. Go to nav. Radar to on. Come back over. Conformal fuel tank back to normal. Take off trim.
Yaw rate. Yaw rate.
Taxi light. All this is good over here. We can request the chocks to be removed.
Chief, remove the wheel chocks.
Hit GRIC to go to our radios. Open in 251. To go to 251, we'll clear the scratch pad. Click on data, turn on the radar altimeter. Click on menu. Low altitude warning, I usually have it off. I'll turn it off. Go to the IFF. Auto ID, PDT, IED. Or EID, sorry. Auto ID to PDT. And that looks good. Everything looks good. Clear all that. Flaps are going to go down. And we are ready for taxi. And that's the F-15E Strike Eagle. How to start it up pretty quickly. It's pretty easy. Hope you guys enjoyed. Bye. Okay, so how do we align this if we want to do a full alignment? So the aircraft is started. We haven't done anything with the INS knob yet. First things first, you want to make sure that the brake hold is on, so the parking brake is turned on. Next, we'll be focusing on the UFC. Let's go ahead and bring up the knee board with right shift kilo or right shift K, and I'll drag this on over so you guys can see it a little bit better. So here's our latitude and longitude. What you want to do next is hit menu twice, and then click the associated button next to PP-IGI. And here's our coordinates right here. So north 67, 15, 669. Now, if we want to do this ourselves, we can hit shift 2 to put in north, and then we'll type in the coordinates now, 6715, 669, and this is coming from the knee board here on the left. Next, we need to do easting, so shift 6 for east, and then 0, 1, 4, 2, 1, 4, 6, 8, and hit the associated key next to the longitude. Now we can move the INS knob to GC, and in the HUD you'll see it says GC no taxi, and this will eventually change to a number that will count down all the way down to just under 0. This will eventually change to a number that will eventually count down almost to 0. Now it says GC OK in the HUD, we can move the INS knob to nav, radar on, and we're ready for taxi. Alright, let's get this beast in the air. We'll put the landing light on. Go ahead and check over to the left, make sure the final's clear. Everything's good to go, it's clear to the right. Let's get on out of here. We'll line up with the runway. Start advancing the throttle to about 82%. Engines are stabilized. And full send. Full power, baby. And we'll ease the aircraft off the runway here. Positive rate, gears coming up, and flaps are coming up. We'll aim for about 10 degrees on the nose, and gently putting some nose down trim in. This thing climbs like an animal. So let's go ahead and do it. Max performance climb, baby.